These chronographs look much more expensive than they actually cost. Watch collecting tends to be a very modest place, with black dials often being the most popular. But there's nothing wrong with being a bit flashy now and then. There's nothing wrong with wearing something that purposefully catches the eye. And like me, I'm sure you already have plenty of boring watches in your collection. Question is, do you have something that's fun? Do you need something that oozes confidence? Because I believe that's exactly what the watches we're taking a look at today delivers. And they deliver it on a $500 budget, whilst looking like they easily cost double. Hi, my name's Kieran, welcome to Top Tier Ticker. I hope you're having a good day. Today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new release by one of my personal favourite micro brands, Stratton. And I am buzzing to finally get my hands on this particular model. As I've mentioned that this watch is a good buy in many of my top 10 videos already. This is the Special, a model that Stratton has been making now for over 6 years. However, Stratton has just released this model in some brand new colours that absolutely kick ass, with two of these new colorways giving off precious metal Rolex Daytona vibes. But don't be fooled into thinking that these are some Rolex wannabes, because they are far from it. Stratton is proud of their heavy inspiration from vintage cars. This particular model, the Special, is inspired by multiple. Firstly, the owner of Stratton, Kyle's very own 1977 Alfa Romeo, with the caseback paying homage to the car's tachometer. But then each of the colorways is also inspired by a particular vintage sports car. You'll have to forgive me on names of these models, I'm not a big petrol head myself. All I know is that these cars look super cool, and to be honest, I wish I owned one of them. But more importantly to me, the watches look even cooler. These watches deliver maximum energy and personality because of the colours chosen, and Stratton has very kindly sent us over 3 models from this new collection to take a look at. We have the blue and orange, the sky blue and brown, and my favourite, the green and gold. I do get to keep one of these watches after the review, but as usual, I don't let anyone tell me what to do. All views and opinions are mine. And there are actually 2 other colorways that are part of this collection, black and gold and plum and off-white. But let's first start with the main topic of this video, that title. These watches do look more expensive than they actually are. Now obviously this is somewhat of a subjective matter, as this does come down to opinion. But for me, the dials on these watches, the funky shape of the case, the beautiful domed crystals, and of course the color combinations do genuinely make these watches look like they cost so much more. Now the standard version of these come in at $499. These feature a Seiko Mecha Quartz movement, but you can also get an automatic version of each model that comes in at $1,199. This uses the Valjoux 7750. By the way, that is a serious Swiss mechanical chronograph movement used by IWC, Breitling, Oris, Tag Heuer, proper movement. Basically, $1,200 for a watch featuring this movement is insane value for money, with most using it costing way over $2,000. And I actually have an exclusive discount code for you, just for Top Tier Ticker viewers, for you to use on the Stratton website, which I'll tell you at the end of the video. Now there are of course differences between the Mecha Quartz and the automatic, specifically with the dimensions, but we will cover that a little later in the video. And each colorway is available in both Mecha Quartz and automatic. First of all, let's talk about the dials, because that's the money shot here. Stratton really does deliver a beautiful visual experience with this model. It's bursting with vintage charm whilst also delivering a modern twist. For example, this sky blue and brown features a sunburst style finish. The blue looks incredibly dynamic against the light, with silvers and whites appearing amongst the dial. The indexes and hands are also polished, which add that extra layer of flash. But also notice the depth within that dial. Each subdial features a scale lifted above the main surface, with them tilting inwards towards the hands. The same effect has been echoed onto the actual dial too, with the tachometer scale sloping from the glass to the dial surface, leaving no gaps around the glass or dial. That means that these dials feel full. Even though the chronograph subdials are quite small in there, they feel in proportion because of how well the case, glass and tachometer draw you in. The orange and blue version has a similar effect, this time though with a more impactful colour combination. This orange colour is super vibrant. If you need a little bit of colour in your life, then this is the one. This model does feature a slightly different handset than the sky blue, with this one featuring a blue tip to the hour and minutes, and the blue hands on the subdials. In fact, the sky blue and brown is the only version that features a completely polished handset, with the other 4 all featuring coloured hands and tips. These Mecha Quartz versions don't feature a date complication on the dial, Instead, we see a small Stratton S logo applied at the 3, with Special and Mecha Q printed beneath. And that area is the biggest difference between the Mecha Quartz and the automatic. The Valjoux 7750 version comes with a day-date window at the 3 o'clock, with the Stratton branding above and an automatic printed below. The black day and date wheel also works really well with this colour combination, and that day is right up against the dial too, which is the benefit of using this legendary movement. But this golden green combination is just so sexy. Those golden elements to the dial pop against that rich green, and the sunburst finish to the dial wasn't necessary with all that gold going on, but it's absolutely welcome. Yes, this golden green is definitely the most flashy of this new Special release, but it's a watch that has a ridiculous amount of personality. The hot summer months are begging for something like this to be worn. Now, the cases across all models are almost identical. I don't really know what to call this case shape, as it is so weird and wacky. Sort of a TV style case maybe? They all feature a hidden lug construction anyway, with the lugs sat beneath the case. This then tapers to meet the glass at the top. Basically, this case is like an oddly shaped pyramid that has been like chopped off at the bottom. All of them do feature a completely brushed finish, except a tiny bit of brushing around the glass, which has been brushed inwards towards the pinion, basically delivering a sunburst effect on the bezel. And Stratton were one of the first brands to use DLC coating over the steel to increase scratch resistance, so this polished finish should stay this way for a decent amount of time, certainly much longer than other polished steel surfaces. But that hidden lug construction means that this watch will work on just about any wrist size. The case diameter is coming in at 42.5mm, and the lug to lug is just under 41mm. But there is a difference in thickness between the Auto and the Mecha Quartz. The automatic version is 15.5mm and the Mecha Quartz is 14mm. Both of these thicknesses are easily manageable because of how the proportions of the case work, with the sloping around the crystal really helping with how this watch wears visually. I think that even the larger automatic version looks great on my wrist. It certainly doesn't look 15.5mm thick from the side, but a bit of that height does come from the dome crystal. This single dome sapphire is a great piece of glass. I haven't noticed any reflections once on these watches, which is a very rare occurrence. There's also a ton of distortion from side angles, which I'm always a big fan of, but you can also feel safe knowing that your chronograph delivers a swimmable 100-meter water resistance rating. Indeed, a screw down crown and case back delivers that sporty capability. We do see the use of superluminova. It's good, but it's not outstanding. Now, I'm sure most of you already know the differences between a Mecha Quartz and an automatic movement, so I'll spare you the details. Of course, the automatic version feels like a more premium product, and it is. The winding of the movement, the feel of the pushers, it's just great. I see it as you have great options for two different budgets here. But let's talk about the negatives. I haven't yet mentioned the supplied straps. The quality is good, the leather feels nice, but they are a bit big and a bit clunky. These buckles, for example, are massive. I much prefer sleeker looking straps, so this will be something to switch out for me. The Mecha Quartz versions do feature a ghost date position. This isn't a massive issue, as you'll forget this even exists because it is a quartz, but it is there. I do somewhat understand this one though, as it's unavoidable if you don't want a date window and you want to use a Mecha Quartz movement. And this one's probably just me having proper greasy paws, but the cases are fingerprint magnets. You'll find yourself cleaning them frequently, especially if you want that shiny glow, you know? But that's about it. If you've watched this far, then I'm sure you already like the design of these watches, which is probably the biggest hurdle, as they're clearly vintage inspired and have a ton of old school charm about them. So why don't you go ahead and use code toptierticker on the Stratton website to get yourself a cheeky 10% off. That works on everything on the Stratton website, by the way, from their watches to their straps to their watch rolls, but specifically you'll save yourself 10% on these beautiful new Special models, making them even more of a watch that looks more expensive than it actually costs. Stratton is absolutely one of my favorite micro brands, and watches like this are exactly why. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye for now.